Hello and welcome to this track breakdown for Patterns, which was a one-off single that I had just on the back of the album Bloodsport, which came out in March this year. This one was sort of a funny one in that I had two things in mind when I came to do it. I wanted to make things sound a bit brighter than Bloodsport, and I wanted to make things a lot faster than Bloodsport. Bloodsport has this like really kind of trudgy, sludgy, kind of dark atmosphere to it. And with Patterns, I just wanted to try something new. This and Dude, You Might Want to Put a Vest On were both done at the same time, so they're both quite fast, they're quite loose, they're quite like experimental. I'm not so concerned with the traditional Satan sort of like setup of everything has to be dark or brooding. This one's a bit more like kind of, okay, let's have a bit of fun. Let's make things really fast and let's then make things sort of bright and just have fun kind of experimenting. So instantly I got a load of sort of sample pack stuff that I'd been collecting through the Bloodsport sessions. I put the tempo way up. This was 150 for this one. So obviously it's quite a bit of a banger for Satan anyway. So yeah, let's just jump into it, I guess. Okay, so here we go. Here's the here's the setup in Ableton 7 as usual. Still can't afford Ableton 11 or whatever number they're on at the moment. So yeah, straight away you can see this is pretty big. This is one of the biggest sessions that I've done. Especially recently. It doesn't kind of look it from the outset. I mean, if you kind of scroll up and down here, there's a lot of MIDI going on. There's a lot of, bits and bobs sort of cut up here and there. It's very definitely in sort of, I hesitate to say 2 sections. It looks more like 3 because there's kind of the synth bit makes it, in the middle kind of makes it the third section, which is there. We'll get onto that in a bit. And then towards the end, we've got, the guitars, the kind of drone, the piano, and of course, Catherine, the Anchoress's vocal right at the end there as well. So to start with, let's just kick this on, shall we? Here we go. So there you go. This was just like a little beat that I sort of cut up. I pitched up a little bit. There we go. Wow, that sounds really slow. So not one to be, taking things too seriously. I kind of made it a lot faster and pitched it. Sounds pretty good. Some more kind of drum stuff happening there. Blimey, that sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? Loads of delay, sidechain. What did this actually sound like? Just out of interest, just out of morbid curiosity. Again, it's from the same kind of sample pack. So there you go, it's supposed to sound a lot weirder and a lot slower, whereas I took all the kind of gunk out of it with the EQ there and just smashed a load of delay and just cut up the first like couple of beats. I mean, yeah, that sounds pretty crazy, but yeah, if it works, it works. Guitars, obviously being a Saint record, has to have some sort of like ambient guitar bed. So it's got a nice little filter that kind of, the filter just sort of, well, the auto filter anyway, it just sort of like kind of, if you can hear that, it kind of sort of moves around the kind of stereo field a little bit. It's just basically just kind of taking different the LFO there is just like taking bits of the different frequencies and just kind of like shaping them, which is really nice. Without it, it just sounds like that. So it's still quite nice, but very sort of flat. So it doesn't really move much, so I wanted a bit of movement to it anyway, so we'll add those back on, which is really nice. Again, that was made just by looping like different bits of guitar, putting them through my pedals. The Ocean's 11 reverb on that one, all over that one. One of my favourite pedals. Now, I haven't actually looked at this in a long time, this session, so some of this stuff is as new to you as it is to me. This is Whoosh. Very nice. I'm assuming it's been pitched down quite a bit and it's just the end couple of bars. Oh, surprise, surprise, it's from the same sample pack. That sounds quite nice. I pitched it way down, only took a slight bit of it, so it just sounds like that. Put everything else in. There we go. This stuff was really cool. This was supposed to be a guitar, and I just chopped the first, like, tiniest little bit of it, and I think it's supposed... yeah, it's from the same song. It sounds quite ravey. It sounds like quite like you're supposed to hear it in like a, you know, breakbeat banger or something, but... yeah. So I took that and obviously just took a tiny bit of it, and it's supposed to be at 160 actually, that, and I've slowed it down to 150, which and added like a whole load of reverbs, EQs, a grain delay, compressors, the whole shebang. And it's sort of, I really like this. I think I built the track out of this actually, because it sort of doesn't really fit. It doesn't really fit in key. I don't know, there's something weird kind of feel about it where it shouldn't really work. It feels a bit off key, but it's not. It kind of works with the rest of the track really well, but like... yeah, so that's really nice. In fact, I kind of pitched a little bit there, didn't I? So to work with the... That's really nice. The way the two kind of work together. That's really melancholic, isn't it? Even... and it just kind of settles down like that. And then you heard the bass as well. I cut up the bass. This is just off my reface, my Yamaha reface again, which I use for like 99% of bass lines. And I just played in sort of the notes, but on this there's two bass channels, as you can see. This one's just got a bit of reverb on it, just to kind of, just before the bigger bass, which is there, comes in. I just wanted to give it like a little... There you go, that's the kind of main bass, which is the kind of throbby, you know, resonant sort of bass. But this first one, I just wanted to give it like a little just something a bit different. So I chopped it up for a start, and then added like little bits of reverb just to kind of give it a bit of a tail, a bit of a mystery, just to kind of build the track a little bit as well, because you're only 1 minute into it at the moment, and I didn't want just like this bass like playing throughout the whole track, like the whole time, so it kind of makes things a little bit more interesting. Aha, the drums are in. Lovely. Oh, we didn't mention the clank. Here's the clank. It just does that. I think that was from another Dark Garage sample pack that I got. That's really good. That was a lot of sort of the more burial-y style beats that I've been putting in stuff are from that sample pack, and this was just a one shot from it, which sounded really nice. Obviously a lot of reverb on it, but it gives all the rhythms just like an extra little layer. So anyway, where were we? The kick drum would come in. Here it is. So I did a separate channel for the chain, the side chain, and just muted it. It's basically just exactly the same as the kick drum. But yeah, just so that if the kick drum kind of comes in or out, then the side chain for the rest of the track is always going to take it from another specific channel. There's a lot of sidechain on this as well. Pretty much everything's sidechained, I think. There, just before we get to the breakdown, just some standard like sort of 808 hats, and from another sample pack, but sidechained and with a bit of reverb. Kind of gives them a little... It gives it some energy with the sidechain on. You can't really hear it there because the sidechain's not on it, but then See, it's getting the sidechain from the kick, or from the chain channel, which is the same as the kick. But like, it really gives it that energy and that kind of push, so that nothing kind of escapes over the kick. The kick's like the big thing that anchors the whole track. Oh yeah, we didn't get to this bit yet. One sec. That was... I really like this bit because there's a bit of... I do this sometimes where, like, if you kind of... In a build-up, it's really nice to just have, like, the kind of one bar before, or just a tiny bit before everything comes back in, just having a little element of one of the kind of rhythm tracks, one of the drum tracks. So on this one, this is just like the kind of some of the glitchiness, one of the beats that kind of sits underneath everything. And I just reversed like a little bit, which is that, and then played it right next to the main clap. And then it makes a bit more of impact when it comes back, when it goes, you know, when everything's going like bang, here we go. It gives you that kind of... There you go. It's like, yeah, there you are, just leading you in, like you know something's coming. And a bit further on down here, we get introduced to the vocal chops. These are a little bit of a secret weapon in a lot of my production, because it's basically chopped vocals, sort of in the style of like lo-fi hip hop, or that stuff you see on YouTube all the time, like you know, the type where it's kind of very lo-fi beats and you know, that kind of thing. But these are so good because they really liven up productions. So if you're stuck for something, or you need just a little bit of something but you're not quite sure what, I always tend to just drop one of these in, and I've pitched it up a little bit, and obviously with the sidechain, and it's travelling sort of way faster than it should be. Let's have a look. What should it be? 100, yeah, so it's going way faster than it should be. So it should sound like that, whereas I've got it sounding like... And then with everything else in, there we go. And the bass kind of changes, kind of just like rides over everything. And I think this is just a... Ooh. I think this was just a one shot of some synth. Yeah, Legacy Chord 2. Wow, nice, okay. I didn't realise I had that, but again, it was just like another layer to kind of give it, because at the minute it didn't sound very like melodic. There's lots of stuff going on, there's lots of beds, like lots of ambient stuff going on, lots of rhythm, but there's no real kind of like melody to kind of sink your teeth into. So this was a way of bringing out like a little melody in all the kind of like schmudge of ambient-y stuff, and you know, the vocals going off, and a lot of sidechain, a lot of like crazy stuff's happening. This was a way of saying like, oh, okay, here's a little melody, even though it's quite tiny, it's just like a couple of notes. It's just a way of like saying, here's the melody inside all of this stuff. Kind of like introduce our little bits, just keep things rolling. The bass is doing a really good job of just riding over everything. And then with some of the I think that was just there, wasn't it? Like some of the sample pack beats. It's always good to just cut them up a little bit. I think I missed it. I think it's this bit. Like that, just adding a few claps in here and there. You don't have to just like, you know, stretch the whole thing and just have that play from, you know, start to finish. You can have fun with it and like cut it up, reverse bits, chop bits out, chop bits in, you know, that kind of thing. So that was just like me playing around. there with like a ton of delay. I often like to bring that in as well, just in case. Adds like another rhythm element, because stuff's like kind of coming off now. I'm kind of like stopping stuff now, so with this in the background it's quite nice to just keep things going, like keep momentum going. And this stuff, you know, this was the kind of burial-y stuff I was talking about, so it's obviously playing like way faster than it should be. So it should sound sort of double timey, sort of like has its it sort of has its like background. It's sort of like garagey, well not garagey, yeah, like dubsteppy garagey stuff, which is more kind of, you know, on the half time. So like it says 140, but the feel will be more like kind of 80, you know, stuff like that. But whereas this is even faster because it's playing at 150, so it's going a little bit crazy, but it kind of works. And then here is the big boy. I found this massive arpeggiated synth, and I don't have a lot of gear, so like if I can find samples of stuff like this, then I will use them, just because like, I mean, I've pitched it up loads, and obviously chop bits out, and there's another section here where I've layered another a way higher pitched version of it, just to kind of give it a bit more like, there we go, just to give it a bit more like, you know, interest, a bit more liveliness. Because like I was saying, you don't have to just like, you know, just drop one sample in and go, okay, there we go, I'm done. You can do like, you know, whatever you want. So with this one, where is it? Let's have a, this is what it should, I think this is from like a, yeah, like a melodic techno kind of thing. So a lot of tech house stuff is like quite like 125, 130, that kind of thing. It's 150, so it's obviously going a lot faster than it was meant to be, and it's been pitched up loads as well, so. But it sounds really nice, like obviously with a load of EQs, a load of reverbs, compressor obviously, and then we add in kind of elements that have been pitched up even further. And it really gives it like, you know, it gives it like an extra like little push. And the kind of burial stuff. Again, I've cut up the sort of burial beat there, just to give it like, you know, just on the kick. Sounds quite relentless like that, but. And then here is where I sort of just started playing around with reverbs and EQ. I basically mapped, can we see it actually on the MIDI? Yeah, there you go. I've mapped the reverb, decay, dry wet, and the, oh, not on that, yeah, that's the up there, that's just the frequency. So and I got like my little controller out, a nano control too, and I just, as the track played, just started kind of twiddling knobs, just sort of, you know, just whatever I fancied quite doing. There's the EQ that triggers on there, that's the information it takes. So after that, I just, you know, took two knobs and just, well, three knobs actually, and just had fun, like kind of drenching it in reverb and taking it off, and then filtering it in, filtering it out, doing it at the same time, doing one and the other, that kind of thing, just so this section isn't just, you know, one sample of one synth just constantly playing. It gives it that added, like, you hear that, like, it brings out some of the elements a lot more. And then I can snap it back and then drench it and snap it, and it's just really fun doing that. And it gives a lot of time for other elements to come in. So we're on to our third bass line now. It's on the same channel as the intro bass. This is just one note playing now, sort of like a dread note. So it's not doing any melodic movement or anything, it's just one note kind of underpinning everything, whilst the kind of synth sort of tails off by this point. And then we slowly get to like the last section, which is kind of ambient-y, the ambient kind of thing. So yeah, all of this stuff up here is all gone now, so we're kind of moving our way through the arrangement, this humongous arrangement. So we've been from up there, we're currently kind of here, and this is where we're approaching the kind of end piece here, So this is built from 2 lines of piano that I played in myself, just on some MIDI, so on its own. One channel is just playing this, just very nice, like plaintive kind of, melancholic piano. Nothing much to it really. Then that's the original sample from the beginning, the sort of like weird guitar one. But I've added a grain delay, and a grain delay is kind of a weird sort of delay. Kind of, instead of just like how most delays work is basically just like kind of, we'll just repeat like little sections of it to give it a tail and some, space and some, time. This is just bananas. I still haven't got my head around it really. It kind of, it works in a kind of world of its own. You can really deep dig down into like the kind of specifics here and like sort your pitch and randomizers and all this kind of thing. I'm not going to touch it because I God knows how I managed to get this sound. I think it was probably an accident, but take it off. That's what it's supposed to sound like. So it's supposed to sound very strange, but that sounds pretty awful. But with the grain delay on, I've taken it on pitch and frequency or something, and it makes it sound really warm and really weird and quite odd, but it's nice. And some bits sound like they're kind of going backwards and like zipping around. It's really cool. Obviously with a bit of reverb and stuff. So the whole thing, it gives it an extra kind of, warmth to it. And then there's a higher piano section which is playing sort of more like 2 notes at a time, just to augment these ones. So they're like kind of working off each other really nicely. And then I just started strumming like some of the kind of what I call like the David Lynch chords. I tried to go very Twin Peaks. This is on my Gretsch Streamliner, which I got a couple of years ago. But it just makes everything sound like you're in Twin Peaks or something like that. So I knew I had to put it on this one. So it starts with this clean one. There's a distorted one that I kind of fade in towards the end of the track as well, and then sort of like a little lead part just playing in the background, just to give it a bit of twang. Again, sounds very like Lynchian, that kind of thing. And everything is just sort of there's another sort of grain delayed. Oh no, there it is. It is grain delayed. I didn't think it was, but that was another section. If we put these two together, actually, there you go. You see, so there's a higher sort of version of the original one that I showed you there, of that weird guitar. So this just kind of like trundles on. The distorted strum, I don't think I distorted it in Ableton. No, I didn't. So this was just another recording through my distortion pedal, the one that looks like a can of Iron Brew, and I sort of faded it in and just swamped it in reverb and an auto pan as well, so it moves from left to right really slowly, just to really be quite unsettling, a bit unnerving. I played around with the EQ as the track goes on as well. Can we see it? Yeah, there we go. So it sort of like gets more muddy as time goes on. And then Catherine. So Catherine's a really good friend of mine. She plays music as the Anchoress. I've known her for ages, known her for years. And she's really, really cool and really good at what she does. And I've been bugging her for years because I've done like quite a lot of remixes for her over the years, and I've been bugging her for years to just sing on a Satan track, and it's just never worked out because she was in Simple Minds for a little bit. She played keys and sang in that band, and then she was doing all of her own solo stuff for ages as well, and it just never really worked out. And I could never just like, just pin her down and say like, can you please just give me a vocal? So I thought like, I'll make it really easy for her and just ask for a spoken word kind of thing just to put at the end of this track, because I had this track sort of on the way to being finished, and I just asked her and I gave a couple of prompts. I think one of them was, what would you tell your younger self? There was, what was the last dream you had? And there was, I can't remember what the third one was. There was another one there, and I said like, could you just answer those? Record it like into your phone or whatever and just send it over. And she took like a night to do it and then sent me it like the next day, and I was like, this is exactly what I wanted. So I finally got my Anchoress feature. But yeah, Catherine's great, and I'll link to her in the description and stuff to get her stuff. She's on tour as well, so you should all go see her. But yeah, so she sent it already with a bit of delay, if I'm not too much mistaken.
A list of things.
Oh no! Oh yeah, there you go.
You tell your younger self. Love does not hurt.
I love that vote. The delay, the kind of like, you just hear it like in the background. It's really creepy and weird, and it fit the track so well. So obviously, me being me, I slapped a load of reverb, and I slapped this little bad boy in it as well, which is it's like a really old VST. Obviously, it has to be old because this whole computer and setup is so old. It's a VST based on the Watkins Copycat, which is called a Wattcat, and the Copycat was basically just a big like delay unit that worked on tape. It had like it was like a giant cassette tape basically, only it just had like maybe a second or so of like tape which just span round, and it was up to you to kind of fiddle with all the like sustain and the swell and like how many tape heads that you want on it. So here we've got 3. You can have like 2 or 1. You can have them all on actually, but I've gone for just the third head because that's the one that gives it the most, the most like kind of effect, I guess. So
a list of things you wish you tell your younger self.
It sounds huge now.
Love does not hurt. That's the familiar sting of abandonment. It is comfort, stability.
So I just EQ'd it a little bit.
Just because it feels familiar does not make it right.
And then added it in.
Unlearn what you've been taught. Rub it better.
So this is just like knocking stuff off one by one now. So the kind of piano goes, and then the strums kind of get more and more muddy. Like they're kind of sort of like disappearing. So they're kind of like getting less. You can see the kind of automation there, like it's getting more and more muddy and more like enveloped, I guess, by the lower frequencies. So they kind of disappear. It's just a nicer way instead of just like fading it out volume wise or just stopping them all together. It's nice to just have them kind of just disintegrate a little bit.
Snatch it back. Snatch it back.
And then that's it. And then we can just kind of end there. Time for one last drum. But yeah, that's about it. I know this has been a bit of a monster video because the track itself is a bit of a monster. It's a bit huge. But yeah, thanks for watching anyway. And if you want me to go through any Satan track, just leave a comment and I'll see what I can do. But yeah, thanks very much. Cheers.